Good evening, everybody. I don't do trust work, I don't do legal work, I'm one of these investment manager types. And I thought you should know a little bit about me. I'm CEO and founding partner of Hassium Asset Management. We've been going since 2006. Prior to that, I did Goldman Sachs for 10 years, and I have the scars and proof that I was there. And I've got 5 minutes Karen has given me to just tell you about some of the experiences and some of the things I've actually lived through that hopefully will be of interest. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is my time at Goldman. I went to Goldman back in 95, 96, 97, around that period. I went there to learn, which is the main reason to go to an institution such as Goldman. I went there to make money. We're all commercial at the end of the day, and that's quite important. But I also went there to find a long-term home as well, and it took me a while to find people with grey hair. Funny enough, the deal with Goldman was that they train you, which they did very, very well. You then have 1 year to build a business, which is quite telling. If you don't build a business in 1 year, they fire you. It's that simple. So you've got that 1 year. The business you do build is not a particularly great business because obviously you're quite desperate to make sure you don't get fired. You then build this business. You then spend the next 2 to 3 years closing that business down and rebuilding a proper business. You start to make some money years 6 to 7. You then get to a stage where I started to feel a bit uncomfortable with what Goldman was asking me to do. So I took a view and I ended up leaving. Everybody thought I was crazy, but it was the right thing for me to do, and then I went on to set up Hassium. So my learning points at Goldman were really, really simple. Be respectful of grey hair when you find it. These individuals have amazing judgment. They are absolutely priceless. There's not many of them left in our industry. Focus on the long term. You know, it probably took me 5, 6, 7 years to start to build a business, not 1 year. Often that 1 year mark is driven by comp and a whole range of other issues, but stay very long term focused. And be true to your value set. You know, I left because I felt Goldman had lost its way. Not just Goldman, but all the private banks and institutions had lost their way. They were asking me to do things that just didn't sit well with me. And you know, if you don't, and you're not true to your values, it will come back to bite you in years to come. I also did an MBA. I did an MBA at the London Business School, a full-time MBA. I guess what I learned there was that the academic world is not the real world. It's a great learning environment. You learn a huge amount, and many of you are MBAs. The real learning comes from working with people from 40 different jurisdictions in every single industry possible and every single job function available out there. That's where you really learn things. Now, having said all of that, I'm not a great believer and a great fan of MBAs. And I do think that MBAs in general have a habit of overcomplicating things. And the golden rule is to keep it simple. It's not just MBAs, I think bankers are the same, and dare I say even lawyers as well. But I guess my take-home message from a business school perspective is just keep it really simple. The other area I wanted to home in on what makes a family successful. I'm lucky enough to work with some of the wealthiest families in Europe. I've read a few interesting books recently as well that just talk about what makes families really, really successful. You know, the Bill Gates of this world and others, you know, McEnroe in tennis, Arnold Schwarzenegger in politics and so on. And I guess the take-home message from my perspective is that there's a number of factors that contribute to their success. I think the first and obvious one is that you know, they were in the right place at the right time, so market timing is clearly key. Second thing, which I thought was quite interesting in some of the books I read, but I agree with, ethnicity and culture also contribute to individuals and their success and how they've been brought up. But I think the big thing, the most important thing, is how hard they all work. They all put in the time. And that's kind of the message I want you to take home here. 10,000 hours was the magic time. You put 10,000 hours in. If you convert that quickly, that equates to 5 years. That's how long it takes you to become an expert in the area that you're in. I think that's quite interesting. It means you can change career, you can make money, you can become an expert no matter what you do if you put in the hard work for 5 years. I also wanted to touch on my biggest mistake, and it's my final point. I've put in the hours. I've worked really, really hard over the years. Lived to some of the value sets that I've talked about. But my biggest mistake is I very much neglected my family and my friends over that period. I'm now at a stage where I'm divorced, I've got 4 kids, but I did lose my way, without a doubt. And I'd like you to just remember that particular point. I'm now back on track. I have an amazing partner. been with her for a few years. Absolutely terrific, I often call her an angel. I have a better relationship with my kids than I've ever had, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I would say to you that from my perspective, life is about people. It's not about work, it's not about making money, it's about people. And if you get that bit right, you'll be happy and everything else will fall into place.